Today we're looking at Math Lesson 18.4, make a bar graph. Yesterday we looked at bar graphs and talked about how they were made and did some problems with the information that was on a bar graph. Today you're going to make a bar graph. I can draw a scaled bar graph to solve how many more and how many less problems. Mrs. Vern's students collected the survey results shown in the tally chart. So just like our picture graphs, they made a tally chart. Which instruments would you like to learn how to play? And they made their tallies and then they wrote down the number it was so that they could easily put it on their graph. Now I've already prepared the graph. As you can see, I put a title on it, instruments I would like to play. And then I had to decide on if I would, my scale for my number of students, if I would go by 2s or 4s or 6. And I saw that my range was from 3 to 11, and so I decided I could go by 2s. And so I graphed the drum right here, and it says 6 in the tally chart. So I drew my bar up to 6 and I shaded it in. And then the guitar says 11. Now I had to go halfway between 10 and 11, or 10 and 12 to get to 11. And I shaded that in. And then I did the piano, which was 9, and the trumpet, which was 3. If you're at home watching or at school watching, you need to stop your video and construct a bar graph with a title, with your scale, and the thing that identifies what your numbers stand for, and a label down here. Okay. You can go to the next page. On this problem, you'll see that they take a picture graph and we're going to put it into a bar graph. Nola surveys the players on her soccer team about choosing a color for the team shirt. She makes a picture graph to show, and we're going to make a bar graph for the data shown on the picture graph. So blue, notice your key says 1. Yellow gold dot is worth 2 votes. So we can see that 2, 4, 6, 8. And half of 2 is 1, so this one would be 9. And you can take your pencil and write 9 out there. Okay, and then the green gets 2, 4. I find this a little bit helpful when I'm going to try and make another graph. And then purple, 2, 4, 6. And red is 2 plus 1 is 3. So we're going to make a bar graph. We're going to give it a title. And we could put votes for team shirt colors up here. And since it's a title, we should capitalize it, and we should try and center it into the box. Okay, now at the bottom, we're going to put what the bottom's going to stand for, and that's going to say color. We're going to move up a little bit here so you can see better. And we're going to put that down here. Then we have 4 colors, or 4 colors, and we range from 9 to 3, and we're going to use the same scale that they used on their bar graph, or on their picture graph. And I'm going to try and do this with the text box. We'll see how this works. I might need to make that a little smaller. Let's go 16. And we're going to put this right beside the line and see if we can type it in there. And we're going to need to move that over just a little bit so it's right with the line. When we do our scale, the numbers go by the line, not the spaces. And we're going to go 10, 8, let's do a space 8. And then we're going to do 6, 4, 2, and 0. So we've got our numbers along the side. And then we're going to come down here and we're going to make we're going to type the colors that they chose. So blue, we'll space over a little bit, and we're going to go green, and we're going to space over, and we're going to say purple, and we're going to space over, we're going to do red. So we have all our colors. The only thing we don't have is the number of votes here along the side. And I'm not sure how I can do that typing, so I'm going to have to write it. Number of votes. Okay, so hopefully you can read that. It says number of votes. And then I'm going to look at my picture graph, and I'm going to see that I have 9, and I don't have 9 on my line, so I'm going to have to go halfway between. So I'm going to take my shape tool, but you can just draw a bar with your pencil, and I'm going to make it go up here to, whoops, got it too high. I'm going to make it go up there to 9. Okay, so I have my blue bar on there, and my next one is green, and it has to go to 4. So I'm going to try and do a green 1 to 4, which there is a line to stop at 4. Notice I'm trying to make my bars about the same width. And then I'm going to go to a purple one, and I'm going to make a purple one, and purple has to go to 6. So, whoops, didn't quite get it there. Let's try that again. See, even Mrs. Stegman has to go back and redo things. Okay, and then we're going to have red, and it goes to 3. So it's going to be another one that we go into the middle of the space. So there's our graph. Now let's see what questions they want us to answer. What number do you count by on the scale? Well, we made our scale to count by 2s because each of the whole symbols equal 2 in our picture graph. So count by 2s. Okay, so there's that answer for you. If you're watching this video, you need to stop your video and go ahead and get that down. All right. How do you know the height to draw each bar? This is going to be kind of long because we're going to go back and talk about how when we talked about the numbers. So the first thing we did was multiply the number of whole symbols by 2. Then count by that same number along the scale. If there is half of a symbol, add 1. That's a pretty long explanation, but it's kind of necessary to get you from the picture graph to the bar graph. So if you're watching this, please stop your video and make sure you're understanding that you're looking at your orange dots up top and multiplying those by 2, and if there's a half, you're adding 1 for that. What equation can you write to find how many votes blue and red received. Now we're not asking how many more or how many fewer. We're asking how many votes did red and blue receive. So we're going to come back and we're going to see that blue was 9 and red was 3. So we're going to write an equation of 9 plus 3 equals what? 12 votes. There you go. Go ahead and stop your video and get all that. Okay, so on 471, which is the front of your second page, it says choose a survey question, include 3 or 4 answer choices for your question. Decide how you will record the answers. Take a survey for your class. So I'm going to just go ahead, since I'm doing this on my own, and write a survey question. And my survey question is going to say, what is your favorite playground game? Okay, now since I'm recording, I don't have kids here to vote, so I may just have to, there's one in the book, we're just going to use it. Choose a title, label the categories. So we're going to go down to our bar graph. What do you think our title should be? Probably favorite playground games, huh? Okay, so we've got our title on there. That was A. We got to label our categories. So we're going to build, this graph is going to be a horizontal graph instead of a vertical graph. So over to the side is going to be the names of the game that we chose. So my first one is going to be tag. And then I'm going to have races. And then I'm going to have ball games. So that would be any game that we play with a ball. Okay, so I did my title up here. I labeled my categories, kinds of games, number of classmates. Then I chose a scale. Whoops, I didn't choose a scale. I put my numbers. The scale is going to go here along the bottom this time since we're doing a horizontal graph. So I am going to, and for a scale, it says choose any scale larger than 1. So since there were about 10 of us, well, there's 14 of us to put on this graph. And so we don't need our scale to be very big. So I think we can make our scale be a 0, 0, and we can go over, and this could be 2, whoops, 2, we're going to count by 2s, 4, 6, 8, 10, and 12. Okay, so we're going to say that of the 14 kids in our class, 6 of them liked tag. And so we're going to go make our bars. 6 of them liked tag. That would be our bar for tag. Then races, we'll say that 6, and so 2 people like races, and that makes 6 for our ball games. Okay, and it says what number will you count by for your scale? We need to get that in here. So we count it by 2s for our scale. I want you to go ahead and do the check your understanding and come back and check on that. Okay, so question number 1 is, if a classmate's answer changes, how would your bars change? Well, if only 5 voted for ball games and 3 voted for races, the ball game bar would get shorter and the other one would get longer. And then the last one says write a how many fewer. How many fewer students chose races than tag? And 6 minus 2